Duane Duggan, RE/MAX of Boulder Video Podcast. Today we're honored to have Cindy Braddock, the Boulder County Assessor, here to answer some questions on a very unique topic that most people don't know about. Cindy, thank you for being here today.
You bet, thank you.
Our topic today is the Senior Homestead Exemption relative to property taxes. So let's start off, Cindy, with what is the Senior Property Homestead Exemption?
So the Senior Homestead Exemption is a program that was put in place in 2000. It is part of the state of Colorado constitutional amendment, and it establishes a program that refunds or that the state backfills part of the taxes on a qualifying senior.
Okay.
And there's been two times, every year the legislature decides on the funding of this program, and there's been two times where there wasn't enough funding, and so two times they reduced it to zero. It stays in the Constitution, but they dropped the amount of refund down to zero. It's been in place for quite a few years now and has been funded, but every year the legislature makes that decision. So
Okay.
Usually we know by mid-May.
Okay, I'm getting closer to senior status. So who's eligible? How old you got to be to get this exemption?
On the year, January 1st of the year you apply,
Okay.
you need to be 65 years old.
Not yet.
Not yet. You need to have been the owner and occupied your home for 10 years prior to January 1.
Okay,
And you need to have had that be your primary residence.
all right.
And those are all the qualifications there are. There is no means testing, so we don't
Okay.
look at income. We just look at age, time of ownership, and type of ownership.
Okay, and what kind of effect is there on the taxes?
Well, what the program says, what the Constitution says, is that the taxes for the first half of $200,000 of value on your home is backfilled by the state.
Okay,
So if you do the math, it comes out this year to about $619 that you don't have to pay yourself.
got it. Okay, and you had made mention to me earlier when we were talking about it, it varied a little bit because the assessment rate changed. Should we toss that into the equation?
Sure. So last year, the state legislature needed to adjust the balance between commercial property and residential property taxation. And that's in the Gallagher Amendment, which is also in the Constitution. And when they adjusted that, they had to change the residential percentage, the percentage that's used to calculate assessed value. So it went down from 7.96 to 7.2. And that obviously has an impact on the value that taxes are calculated against. And so it's a reduced amount of taxes that are being refunded. Lower taxes, but also a lower reduced amount of refund.
Gotcha. Okay, so this obviously doesn't remain with the property forever. What happens as far as the removal? What events happen, or does it happen automatically? All
No,
that stuff.
it's not automatic. Once you
Okay.
apply and are approved, it stays with you and your property as long as you live there.
Okay,
If the applicant passes away, we would remove the benefit the next year. If the property sells, we would also remove the benefit for the next year because the new owner may not be qualified.
okay,
If you put the property into a trust, you can continue with the exemption, but you would need to reapply. And on the long form, there's several forms. The long form has information that they collect about the trust to make sure that you are an owner of the trust.
okay,
And also, if the applicant is deceased, the spouse of the applicant can apply and get the exemption, continue the exemption, but they also have to fill out the long form.
okay. Is there something a family needs to do, like upon death of an elderly person in their home, or do you pick that up from death certificates, or how does that work?
If the family actually records their death certificate of their loved one, then we will pick it up automatically because we receive those documents from the clerk and recorder. Otherwise, every year this program is audited by the state, and they actually they go into the vital records and into IRS documents, and they report to us, the seniors who have passed away, and we remove them from the file.
And so would it be a responsible thing for a realtor to tell their clients when they've lost a loved one to
Absolutely.
report the death to the assessor's office, or?
Absolutely. And a thing to know is if there's a surviving spouse, to not only report it, but to ask for their long
The
form.
reapplication.
So that
Gotcha.
they don't lose
Okay.
any of the exemption.
Okay, and so our clients in general, they have to apply for this, right? It does
Correct.
not happen automatically. So it's actually a very good thing for the realtors to have a conversation with their clients to make sure that if it applies to them, they should get their application in. Right?
Absolutely. And we accept applications between January 1 and July
Okay.
15th every year.
Right,
We can accept applications to August 15th, but the people who would come in after the July 15th to August 15th If for some reason we should deny the application, they have no right of appeal.
Okay.
And we rarely deny, and the only reasons we would deny an application is if they don't meet the criteria.
Right. Yeah,
They're not
basic
open.
criteria. Right.
Right.
Okay. So one of the things that comes up quite a bit is at the closing table where a senior's selling their home. They've been on the reduced taxes. What happens in that process at the closing table relative to the tax proration?
Sure, your closing company, your title company will reach out to the county treasurer, and the county treasurer will let them know that there's a senior exemption on this property. The exemption does not go away for that year. Say you buy it in June, the new owner will benefit from that exemption through the rest of the year.
Okay.
And so their taxes in the next ensuing year, because we pay taxes in arrears, they'll get the benefit of that exemption, and then it will be removed.
Okay. And that's something that almost the title company, lender, buyer all need to communicate. So like if they're escrowing for taxes,
Correct.
they need to step up that escrow fairly quickly. So,
Right. And also to know that in the next year, there'll be higher taxes. We want people to know it's lower this year because of the
Right.
exemption, but next year it's going to be full.
And once I think you had told me that seniors have the ability to enter a program to actually do some work to get some
Yes.
credit on taxes. Can you tell us about that?
Sure. That's actually done, managed through the Boulder County Commissioners,
Okay.
and it's to pay off only their county portion of the taxes.
Okay.
And they apply through the county commissioner's office. They can work up to 100 hours, and they are paid $10 an hour. $5 is paid by the county commissioners, and $5 is paid by the office that is hiring them.
Okay.
And we've had people come on board to do things like address changes, work public information counters, do work in the gardens around the county, and things like that.
Okay, I'm really intrigued by that because until you had told me that, I had no idea that existed. So I think that's something that we can really get the word out. So.
Good.
So, Cindy, we've talked about a lot of things. If somebody wants to get more information on the web, we'll have it on the screen here so people can get that without any problem. So, but what is the web address for the assessor's office in general?
It's www.bouldercountyassessor.org.
Okay, perfect. Anything else you wanted to add to this?
I just want to add that we just posted a video on the senior exemption
Okay.
on our main webpage.
Perfect. I'll have to watch that and compare it to this one.
And it's a short 3-minute video that just walks you through all the things we've just talked about.
Okay, perfect. Cindy, thanks for being here. Appreciate
You bet.
it.
Thank you.
Duane Duggan, Remax of Boulder Video Podcast, signing off.